Hello students, in the last lecture I talked about damped harmonic vibrations, and in this lecture I am talking about forced vibrations. So forced vibrations appear when we apply some external force, and this force is periodic. When this periodic force is applied on a system which is capable of doing harmonic motion, then even though it is experiencing damping, its amplitude remains constant. This constant amplitude comes from this external energy which is supplied by this external force. So let's consider a particle of mass m which is oscillating under a resistive force, which is like you can say damping force, and at any instant t, if the displacement is x, then of course its velocity and acceleration will be dx by dt and d2x by dt squared. So here we have three forces. In the damping case, we had only two forces. So the first force is the restoring force in simple harmonic motion. Second force is the resistive force. These two forces we have already discussed in the last lecture. The third force here is the periodic force, which has frequency of p by 2 pi, and the amplitude of this force is capital F. So the total force acting on the particle will be here, and as we know from the Newton's law that force is equal to mass into acceleration, so finally we will get this equation. Now here small f is capital F by m. Other things are same as in the previous lecture. So this is the differential equation for the forced harmonic oscillator. Now because this is a second order differential equation and it has one variable which does not depend on x. So the solution of this equation can be written like here: x is equal to a sine pt minus theta, where a is amplitude and theta is the phase of the forced vibration. So now we have the value of x, so we can get the value of dx by dt and d2x by dt square from here. And now putting all the values in equation 1, we will get this solution. Now if we add plus theta and minus theta here and then solve, it will be like sine a cos b plus cos a sine b, where a will be pt minus theta and b will be theta. Now because we are looking for the solution, so this solution should satisfy for all values of t. So if we compare the coefficients of f sine pt minus theta and f cos pt minus theta, then we will get a omega square minus b square is equal to f cos theta and 2 kap is equal to f sin theta. Now if we square on both sides and then add them, then here we will get f square cos square theta and here we will get f square sin square theta. So if we add them, then cos square theta plus sin square theta will be 1. We will get only f square, and on the other side we will have this term. And if we divide these two equations, then we will get this, and sin theta by cos theta will be tan theta, and then if tan will go on another side, it will be tan inverse 2 kp upon omega square minus p square. So solving everything, we will get amplitude here and the phase for this forced vibration. So the solution x is equal to a sine pt minus theta will be like this when we will put the value of a here. So you can see that the amplitude and phase of the force vibration depends on the relative values of omega and p, where p is the frequency of external force and omega is the natural frequency of particle. So there will be three cases here. So first case is when the external force frequency P is very less than natural frequency omega. So in this case, what we can do, we can neglect the terms of p square or p to the power 4 because that will be very small. So we will get only f upon omega square. As f is equal to capital F by m, so a will be equal to capital F upon mu, where capital F is the amplitude of the external force. What about the phase? So as we already have the condition, the frequency of the external force is very small. So if P is very small, then what will happen? We can treat it as close to 0. So in that case, the term in the bracket will be 0, and so the tan inverse of 0 will be 0. So this is a approximation that P is very small and very close to 0. So in this case, the amplitude will depend only on the external force capital F and force constant, because force constant will be fixed. So if the external force is increasing, amplitude will increase, and if external force is decreasing, then amplitude will decrease. And the phase is 0, it means that the force and the displacement will remain in same phase. Coming to the case 2, when the frequency of the external force is much higher than the natural frequency of the particle omega. In this case, we can neglect the term omega square, and also because P is very high, then k square and p square will be very less than p to the power 4, because the value of k is very small compared to p. So what will we have here is that only this term, and then we will have a is equal to, which is amplitude, a is equal to f by p square, and we know the value of small f, so it will be f upon m p square. Coming to the phase, here we have p is very greater than omega. So it means that p is close to infinity. So if you see here, because omega square we have already assumed is very less, and p is very high, so and because k is also very small, so the term in the bracket will be close to 0. So again, the tan inverse of my 0 will be pi. So this time the amplitude of the oscillation decrease with increasing frequency of external force. As you can see, A is proportional to 1 upon p square. So if p will increase, amplitude will decrease, and if p will decrease, then amplitude will increase. So the external force will be 180 degree out of phase of the displacement. Third case is when the external force frequency is equal to the natural frequency of the particle. What will happen in that case? In this case, this term will be 0, so this term will come out, and we will have f upon 2kp. Now we have the value of k and f, so we will get p is equal to capital F upon rp, and because p is equal to omega, so we can also write f upon r omega. Coming to the phase, omega square minus p square is equal to 0, so this term in the bracket will be infinite, so the tan inverse of infinite will be pi by 2. Now you see here the amplitude is depending on the external force, and the damping constant R. So if the damping constant are small, then the amplitude of the oscillation will be large, because damping constant is reciprocal to the amplitude, and the displacement will lag behind by the force by phase 90 degree. So now coming to the special case which is called resonance condition. So what is resonance condition? So what happens, as we have seen in the three cases, the variation of frequency P, which is the external force frequency, if it varies, then the amplitude also varies. And it shows a maximum for a particular value of P. So as we know that amplitude is given by this equation, and amplitude will be maximum if the term in the denominator will be minimum. So if we get the minimum condition for this denominator, then we will get the maximum amplitude condition. So differentiating this denominator with respect to P, then we will get P is equal to under root omega square minus 2k square, which is called the resonance frequency. So you can see here that for the resonance frequency, this resonance frequency is slightly less than the value omega. Now, putting the value of P in the amplitude, then we will get this, and again if we will put the value of P further, then finally we will have maximum amplitude equation here. So here we can see the amplitude will be depending on the small f, which is depending on the amplitude of the external force. So if amplitude of external force is increasing, amplitude of the oscillation will also increase, and vice versa. Now in the case of a small damping, if we assume that the coefficient k can be neglected compared to omega and p, so what will happen? In that case we will get only this, because then we can neglect the k square term, which will be even smaller than k. So we can say that for small damping, the resonance condition will appear when the frequency of external force is equal to the natural frequency of the particle. Now from the figure you can see that if the rate of fall of amplitude is high, as here, then this will be called sharp resonance. Otherwise, if it is like this, then it will be called flat resonance. The sharpness of the resonance depends on the damping constant k is equal to r by 2. So if smaller will be the k value, higher will be the sharpness. So these are the problems related to this lecture. So here is the solution for the problems in the previous lecture. So the for first problem, if a car moves, then the shocks in the car store some energy in the form of potential energy. And as we know that potential energy is equal to half kx square, and this energy need to be removed to damp the oscillation. So we know the value of k and value of x, so we can get the value of potential energy stored, and so this energy we need to remove to damp the oscillation. In the second question, the first part is find whether the resulting motion is oscillatory or not. So for the condition of oscillatory motion, we know that k should be less than omega. So we know how to calculate. K value and omega value, then you will find whether it is oscillatory or not. Now coming to the time period, you know the formula, put the value of omega and K, and then you will get the solution.